The views and opinions expressed by John and DJ do not reflect those of any intelligent or rational human being and are solely the property of the Brightside Chat.
This show is a proud member of the Nerdy Legion Podcast Network. Get more at nerdylegion.com. Enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Bright Side and issue number 168, right? I kind of slowed down. We just said it, didn't we? 168?
We did, yeah. If you're asking me if that's correct or not, you're barking up the wrong tree, man.
No, I'm more asking because we just said it just before I hit record and we started. And I was like...
Yeah, but I didn't know if it was right then. Like, I just was going with it.
All right. Not that it matters. We're 168. We're in the two somethings. We got our 300th coming up. We're probably at like the mid 200s for total, but
yeah.
Issue number 168, because we had a bunch of issues in the middle that were just specials, right? Should we restart?
Yeah.
I know you're a big fan of that. Going back to number one.
Rebooting at number one, yeah.
Maybe when
I said we should do that every year, but that was way back after year one, so
way back, going way back. We got
the Wayback Machine to year one.
Yeah.
So
we got lots of news. Another big week for news. We got some books that I'm a little sketchy on. One I liked, one not so much. And how's your real world this week? Is it extended?
No.
Oh, good.
It's not actually.
Okay. All right. Well, instead of let's get into the store.
All right.
And that's that door chime letting you know that I'm in the store, John. I'm here. Be alerted.
I am. I have to come out of the back room now.
Yeah. What were you doing back there?
Oh, you'll never know.
I don't
come out tucking my shirt in. You know.
Come on. Come on. Oh. I'm all screwed up now.
I know. You're all looking at tizzy now.
Yeah, I'm in a tizzy now. In a tizzy. So how's your week been? How are things going?
Okay. They're okay. And down still, but...
Up and down there, lovely Arkham Comics and Games?
Yeah. I mean, life is great, but, I mean, store-wise, it's, it's up and down.
Up and down. Up and down. It's the way life goes, I
mean, again, any day above ground is great at this stage. So.
This is true. This is true. We're getting to the part of your life where below ground's starting to look relaxing.
Yeah.
Did I just say that out loud?
Yeah.
I mean, no.
At least I can get some sleep.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they call it resting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we went away this weekend for the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we just went. Cool. We went to Newport, an hour south.
Oh, okay.
Went with the neighbors and two couples, and we rented a house and just hung out and did nothing.
Oh.
Unfortunately, the weather was so good on Saturday, I had to drive home and work.
Oh, yeah.
But, hey, I mean, I had to work. It's the place that I work on Saturdays. I hadn't been there since December because the weather didn't cooperate. But yeah, it was great. Just hanging out, doing nothing, not having anything to do, being away from home, and you're just sitting there sitting in a room and being quiet. So it was a lot of fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Super Bowl?
That was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good game. I had no skin in the game, so I was relaxed, and I was pulling for Cincinnati, but at the end of the day, didn't care really one way or the other. So I just enjoyed the game. I thought it was good. Low scoring affair, but
yeah. Yeah, I thought I had like you, I had no skin in the game, but did you find yourself at the end, because I was pulling for Cincy too, like starting to get nervous, like, they're going to do it.
Yeah, and I was a little mad when they didn't, honestly, but then I realized, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, no, I was also happy to see, LA do it, and that one guy that's about to retire, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was like in tears at the end of the game, and that was the last thing he needed to do in his career, And same with Stafford, Stafford coming from Detroit all those years there, and Did you see that piece that they put together? It might have been part of the pregame or whatever, or one of the pregame shows, where he was at his kitchen table with his wife, and they were talking about him leaving Detroit, and like he didn't even want to leave. He had no intention of leaving, according to this, and he's just sitting there quietly at the kitchen table, and his wife's like, he's loyal to a fault, like he probably implying like, if he didn't leave, he was there. Yeah, he'd still be there. But all parties wanted him to have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And I guess Detroit was like in the case of rebuilding. So all of that and everything. So it was really cool to see, but he just sat there quietly while his wife said that. It was pretty funny. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch any of the pregame, honestly. I actually missed the first 5 minutes of the game because I was watching something else. Yeah.
Oh.
It was fun. I was like, what's 5 minutes,
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah. It was, that's one of the things I wanted to do, why I wanted to go away, is I wanted to be able to just hang out and catch some of that. But we'll talk a little bit more in real world about what else we watched that day. So it was a fun day. But all right. Let's see. Anything else? Nothing else, right? You ready to get to some? What do we get to first? Mailbag, right?
Mailbag, right?
You ready to get to some mailbag?
Sure.
All right. Here we go. First wrinkly article up from Martin, our buddy Martin at Geekvine on Twitter. No gin and tonics were harmed in the making of this video. And that's in reply to our music video, our clip that I put out.
Right. Yeah.
And sadly, no gin and tonics were harmed.
I know.
Imagine. Could you imagine?
I was going to say, it would have been glorious, I think is what my response was.
Yeah.
Had there been many gin and tonics harmed.
The music would still be playing.
Yeah. I had the music in me.
Yep. He also replied, I love Mandalorian season 3. Looking forward to catching the finale tonight.
Yeah.
And I was talking with when I recorded last week with Rich Keefe from my other podcast, and we were just talking before we started recording, and I said I called it Mandalorian. And I was like, did you see Mandalorian today? And he went right into his reply. And then I realized neither of us picked up on it. It wasn't even like I wasn't making a joke. It's just, that's just what literally the show has become.
Right.
So we'll get to more of that later. Tom Bellows at Brightside_chat. Different spin than you and John thought, talking about the announcement of Obi-Wan. And we'll have more of that coming up in news. But different spin. Shocker at first, but as most of you know, we'll talk about it in news too. There's a very good reason.
Yeah.
Very good reason. A little disappointed in myself, actually. BJ Horton, 2005. Haha, we are watching some more. Talking about Peacemaker. He goes, thanks to you, I listened to the entire Wigwam album last night at work. Haha, happy to have helped inspire the name for an episode at Brightside_chat. Yes, you did. Inspired.
He did.
It was a lot of fun. And now I spent the week, well, not the week. I spent some time this past week trying to figure out more ways to get more music involved and make it easier. Like right now I've got to unplug, replug, and do things. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that easy. So I'm trying to figure out how to do it and be able to have the levels go the way they do. But right. I'm sure we'll get there in year 5 or 6.
Yeah.
BJ.
Don't get ahead of yourself, man.
Yeah, exactly. BJ.
Yeah, you haven't locked me down yet for my next contract.
Oh, yeah. Are you up for a new contract?
I don't know. I don't know when I'm up for renewal, but I'll have to find out.
It's like, hey, John, there could be a lockout, buddy.
Yeah.
It goes both ways, you know?
Yeah.
You show up to work someday. Where'd he go?
Yeah. Well, I won't be able to because I literally couldn't log in if there wasn't a link.
I know.
Sent by you. So
I
wouldn't be able to look at your empty chair and say, where'd he go? Because
Well, that's the funny but sad thing. Like, is if one of these days, like if something happens to me, it'd be like, okay, it just all goes away. You wouldn't even know how to go on and like do oh well, we're done, or
right.
I'll have to pre-record a goodbye from
there
you.
Go. show Jen how to load it if it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It'll be like, if you're hearing this.
Yeah. Put a goodbye video out.
Your goodbye video will have me saying at the very end, now say goodbye, John.
Goodbye, John.
Okay. Oh, boy, are we being morbid today? Huh?
I know.
Jeez.
I don't know where that came from.
Wow. I don't know. I got to get my head in the game here. I'm talking about taking a relaxing dirt nap, and now you recording a goodbye. All right, let's move along. BJ also says at Brightside _chat and at Arkham Comics. John, this is the one that he sent the picture of. Was it Walter Matthau?
Yeah,
with the chiclets. John seems to be pretty resilient and easygoing, so don't take offense. But all this talk of teeth, and John smiled, and I saw this. Baha! I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. Yeah. What is that from? Do you know?
I have no idea. You son of a bitch.
And that's what you said to him, didn't you? Didn't you say something back to him?
I don't remember what I said back, but something.
So, and he also started Euphoria. Very neat. Very neat. Yeah.
Not what that's not the word I would use to describe it. But
well, I sent you that link. Oh, not that link. I sent you that meme. If you're enjoying Euphoria,
you might need
a therapist
therapy or something.
See a therapist, and it's like, well, that's one of the reasons that we watch it is because Jen really likes it, and she is a therapist. So,
right.
I am currently seeing a therapist, married to a therapist, watching it with a therapist. So
exactly.
I think you go. I am in good hands.
You're covered.
Yes, I am in good hands. So. All right, that was Mailbag for this week. You want to move right along to breaking news?
Sure.
All right, John, what do we got?
We
got a bunch.
I got a bunch. Looks like Amazon has gone ahead and renewed The Wheel of Time for season 3, well ahead of its season 2 debut. So
I'm just looking at the image I pulled up. Ruta de Tempo. Apparently, I pulled up the Spanish version.
I was going to say.
I'm like the Spanish graphic Wheel of Time. So, hey, we're trying to diversify here, right?
There you go. Half of our listeners can read it. So.
Right. What's the native language in Antarctica?
Part of our 37 viewers will see it and be able to read it. So.
Exactly. So. Whoops.
But yeah, that's good for me. Like I said, I criticized it a bit throughout the season, but by the end of the season, I found myself enjoying it. So, I'm down for more.
Do we even know about season 2 yet?
No.
I
mean, as far as I know, there's no release date for it. So, no idea when that's going to happen.
But, all right. Well, that's cool. That's cool. That's one I might want to get that I don't know. The further away I get from it, I do scroll by it. It's still on my timeline there, and I look and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll start that. But I haven't been wanting for new content lately. I've been pretty busy, so I'm like, but when I get a moment or two, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get back into that. So
yeah, like I said, you may end up enjoying it. It comes together. I think.
Here's the thing: is it's we've said this time and again. It's like the Wheel of Time. It keeps coming back around. But it's not that it was bad. It's just that when you have so much really good content, that's what you're kind of looking for the next thing, right? It's not like I want to, like I said, it's not bad, but it's not as great as some other stuff. So I'm always looking for that next great thing. Sometimes that's hard to find.
Well, I say, they're not always there. So
right. All right. What do we got next?
Next up, it looks like Rupert Friend has been cast as the Grand Inquisitor in the Obi-Wan series for Disney Plus. not really familiar with his work, but Grand Inquisitor, obviously another character from
I was like Rupert Friend or the Grand
War.
Inquisitor?
Yeah, well, the Grand Inquisitors are, they were from Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So once again, bringing. I'm sorry, somebody's ringing my doorbell.
Okay.
I need to pause. Hold on.
Please hold.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Back.
No problem.
I am not going solar today. Thank you very much. So, in case you guys were wondering.
Yes.
But anyway, as I was saying, bringing in more of the, the Clone Wars into the live action stuff, and I'm all for every bit of that happening. So
yeah, cool. Yeah.
All right, and then okay.
No, I was going to say, I'm like the Grand Inquisitor. I'm not really, or Grand Inquisitors. I'm not really sure it matters what he looks like.
No, it doesn't.
It's.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to go somewhat close to the.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because at this point he's been in comics and he's been in that show, so I mean he does have a look, but.
Well, the Grand Inquisitor does, but what the actor looks like is what I mean. It doesn't really, similar
it doesn't,
to like a Cad Bane or something.
It's all going to be makeup anyways.
Right.
So,
yeah.
It's more about and I don't know, again, call me Mr. Headline. Maybe Rupert Friend voiced the Grand Inquisitor in the cartoon. I'm not 100% sure.
Right. Yeah.
And if that's so, that would be even better. But.
Yep.
I don't know that off the top of my head. So
I think that would have been in the headline if he had, but
it probably would have been.
Yeah. But all right.
And then sticking with Obi-Wan, and this is what you alluded to earlier. We do have our official premiere date, which is May 25th. We had speculated last week that May the 4th would be the premiere date. And,
yeah.
Again, like you, was initially disappointed. I was like, what are they doing? Like, why would they not use May the 4th? But it turns out May the 25th is the 45th anniversary of episode 4 release.
Right.
So that makes sense too.
If only they had known 45 years ago, they would have released the movie on the 4th.
On May the 4th.
That way, because that would have, maybe who knows what day that would have been, but they have to forecast these things out better, John.
Right. Because how awesome would that have been though if that had happened? Do you know what I mean? Like
what they forecast that 45 years from now we're gonna have a channel.
Well, no, but they knew. But they knew when they put the movie out that somebody was going to say "May the Force be with you" multiple times,
right?
And maybe they would have figured it out themselves before we did and done it on their own. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Right.
Now the rumor is that Bad Batch season 2 will drop on May the 4th.
Ooh.
I'm not sure I believe that because I don't know that they would have 2 overlapping shows on Wednesdays, because there's more than 3 episodes of Bad Batch. So once you get to May 4th, you're going to be overlapping 2 shows a day, and I don't think that they would do that. But a lot of people are saying that. So I don't know where that's coming from, but it would seem odd to me if that happened. But
yeah,
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah,
in a couple weeks.
I'm racking my brain trying to figure out. That's not that big of a brain, so it's a very small rack. But I'm trying to figure out, like, just a way that would even be, like, viable.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what do they do? Like 3 episodes, then Obi-Wan, then come back, or because you're right. There's no way a streaming. It just doesn't seem.
Well, no, because they want to stretch. They want to spread these things out.
Yeah.
So, I would imagine Bad Batch will drop sometime after Obi-Wan, in between Andor or whatever's next. But
I mean, we would hope that someday that they would have like more than one day of the week have stuff drop. But I don't see stuff dropping on the same day.
Yeah, I don't either. It would be. Well, it would be unprecedented for them at this point anyways. Like, anything's possible, because something like a Netflix drops multiple things on every week. So it's not like they can't drop more than one thing on a Wednesday, because it's not like network TV where you have to watch one and then the other. You can still enjoy them at your convenience. So,
but
it's not impossible, but it's just something they've never done before.
Right. But even the birth of network television back when it first came out in the 50s and 60s, and even into our age, it's like television, it was finite. Today, it seems like it's infinite. Like it's just 24/7, the TV is on. Right. But remember when we were kids, TV went off after the Late Show. Yeah.
Yeah, you got like the national anthem with the flag, and then it was static all night long. Until like 6 a.m.
6 a.m. And then you got the national anthem again. And on like weekends, you get, what was
Davy and Goliath.
Davy and Goliath on Sundays, but Captain Bob on Saturdays in our region anyways, and he drew stuff. But other than that, it was like it was finite. But even going back to like when our parents were kids, TVs came on at night for those shows. It wasn't until things evolve and then there's enough content to just keep these things going. So you never know. Who knows where this could go? Where you get enough people making quality content, they could have something every day, every day of the week. But dropping on 2 days, 2 on one day, starting on the 25th. I don't see that either. I just don't see that either. Good to think Bad Batch is on its way. So what do we have in between for Star Wars though? Bad Batch we said this a few weeks ago, like maybe a month or so ago, that Bad Batch should be coming fairly soon, because
Bad Batch should be coming, Andor should be coming, but we also have to keep in mind, like somewhere in here we're dropping in Moon Knight, like we're dropping in the Marvel stuff too. So all of that also comes in between. So, there's no telling, because they're balancing both of those franchises.
Well, Moon Knight, we got the trailer for, and that had a date on it too, didn't it? It wasn't like March,
right? And it's coming. Yeah, it's coming March or April.
March 20th. I don't know why I think.
So probably ending just in time for, Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
and then who knows? Because like I said, we've got Bad Batch, but we've also got Marvel stuff to worry about. So
yeah. I was telling Jen's interested in Moon Knight now, because I told being the therapist, and we saw the trailer, and she was like, I don't know, and then just off the trailer she was like, I don't know. I go, I think it looks awesome. And I told her about Moon Knight in the background and everything and the therapy, and she's like, ooh, I'm into that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So all right, you ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah. This one kind of came out of left field, but Hulu has ordered a revival of Futurama. Most of the original cast is returning. The notable exception is the voice actor for Bender. Has not yet signed a deal to return, but I believe all the other major cast members are returning. I was never a big Futurama guy. I mean, I've seen dozen episodes or so, over the years. But, but I know this had a big following, so I can't wait for The Simpsons to get canceled so they can bring it back again on Hulu.
That's right. It's
like there's reasons why these things stopped in the first place. Like I was just talking to Lydia the other day, because they're bringing back Criminal Minds on Paramount Plus. The show ran for 15 plus years on CBS and was canceled because nobody cared about it anymore. And just a couple short years later, we're bringing it back on Paramount Plus. It's like, why? Nobody cared about it 2 years ago.
Right.
So why are we bringing it back?
Well,
with all the same people.
They're doing the same thing with Law and Order. You saw during the Super Bowl, they're like, they're back. Well, I wasn't sad when they went away.
Exactly, because they were also on for like 900 years, and they got finally canceled, and like now they're coming back again. It's like, who wants more Law and Order?
Right.
Like, I don't
know. Law and Order SVU or whatever.
Well, but those were different shows.
Right, but that one never went away, and apparently it's like the virus, it just won't go away.
Right.
It's like that one has been on forever.
Yeah.
And Jen loves that one.
You've got these long-running shows, like NCIS, that'll get canceled, and then like 2 years later, they'll bring it back on Paramount Plus. It's like, well, just just don't take it off. Just keep it going.
Yeah.
Like, why bother taking it off?
The SVU one, I used to watch them with Jen, and I'm like, now I watch them. She still loves it. And I was like, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like how I watch the same movies over and over. Maybe that's what people find appealing about that, because they're all the same now.
They're all the same.
It's been on for like 22 years, and you drop into any episode, and I wouldn't know which year we were in. They're all exactly the same. And it's like, but it's popular.
But again, it gets that way with any long running show that you watch. Like Supernatural, you could say the same thing about Supernatural, you know?
Right.
Like, I watched it for so long that, yeah, you could just bump into an episode now, and I mean, I wouldn't know if it was season 1 or season 15, you know? It's like, other than the way they look, maybe, you know, they look a little older.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's how you tell the difference.
But it's literally the exact same show for 15 years. And, you know, but you can say that about literally any network TV show.
John, we watch Grey's Anatomy. About life.
We can say that about our show, really. Every week it's breaking news, it's mailbag, you know, same stuff. But you know, I watch like 911, and it's like the same thing every week. Somebody gets in like this crazy accident that, you know, they're in this like hanging upside down from their toe off the Empire State Building or something, and then they go save them. And it's like next week it's the same thing. You know, it's just now it's a different building and a different toe. So, but we keep watching these shows anyways, like every week, you know, because that's what we do.
What's funny is that's what made Cheers so great. Is because that is what it's like. Like we go to our local restaurant, our local bar, and we walk in. And it's not a show. This is real life. And you go in, and it's the same thing every time. It's the same people. We all say the same things. We all laugh and joke about the same stuff.
Eat
and
the
you
same
come back,
food, drink the same drinks. And...
exactly. I order the same food every time, and you come, and it that's what's fun though, and that's what's comforting, right?
Yeah.
But that's what Cheers was like. You walk in, and it's basically the same conversations over and over, and it's that comfortable feeling of walking in, you know, of a place like that, like, you know, the whole where everybody knows your name and all that. But that's what we like. And it's like, so whether it's our shows or real life, it's like, but sometimes you got to mix it up a little. Maybe not 22 years for a show.
Exactly.
We'll stop at 21.
There you go.
Yeah. That bell will stop chiming at 21 years.
All right.
Stop coming in. Sad.
Shoot, God willing, the store's open in 21 years. You know?
I know.
I won't be working at it, but somebody might.
Somebody might.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opening of the show 21 years from now will be like, John, wake up. John.
Yeah. Time to do the show.
John, it's 4 p.m. Get up. It's almost time to go back to bed.
It's time to make the donuts.
There you go. 21 years from now. Yeah, we'll be in our 70s. No big deal.
Yeah, 72. Yeah, that's all.
73,
73,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 73.
All right. This is a dark show.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Well, we're talking Futurama here, right? So,
yeah.
All right. Next up.
So next up, it looks like all of the Marvel Netflix shows are having their rights officially reverting to Disney as of now. So the shows will be leaving Netflix, probably going to be airing. I don't know if they'll air on Disney Plus because they'll probably go to Hulu because they're a little bit too dark for Disney Plus. But I mean, we knew this was going to happen. There was like a 2.5 year window or something between the end of the show and when the rights were going to go to Disney. And apparently time is now. So, like I said, the good news is that just opens everything up for Disney to be able to do whatever they want. Not that they weren't already, because for those that don't know, Matt Murdock appeared in Spider-Man, you know, and Kingpin showed up. So bigger news is just that they're leaving Netflix and going to a new home. So
yeah. There's I wonder. It's funny because at first I was like, oh, that would be cool if they all landed at Disney Plus, and then I saw one person tweet out, "No way, it's got sex, violence, nudity."
They're too dark for Disney.
It really did have all of that between the different shows. You know, Daredevil had pretty much just the violence. I'm not sure if it had, but all the other ones, you mix them all up. So I'm wondering, do they pick and choose where ones go? Or do they all go to Hulu?
Because they're an interconnected universe. So I would think they would all go. They would all go to the same place.
Go to Hulu. Or they add a different tier into Disney Plus.
Which has been a rumor.
Yeah.
You know, they've rumored that more than once, but as of now, they don't have that.
So. Right. This could be their opportunity. And maybe, who knows? Maybe that's where Moon Knight could end up. And we don't even know it yet. You know what I mean? Right. They introduce a new tier March 1st where it's an adult tier, and kind of like, I know HBO Max has no qualms with anything. They don't say that they're a for kids or anything. So like a Peacemaker can just drop in there, and like I said earlier, or weeks ago, my nephew was like, "Dad, I can't wait to watch that," and he's like 9. You're like, no, sorry, but probably you would never know, you know. But on HBO Max, they have it in the DC section with all the DC shows, and some of those shows are appropriate and some aren't. You know, Doom Patrol, not so much.
Right.
So, but that's, you know, maybe Disney Plus adds in, you know, their own, you know, password level or something.
Yeah, protected section.
Level. There you go.
Yeah.
So we will see.
We will.
All right. Next up. Oh, speaking of DC.
Speaking of DC and comics, DC has announced Dark Crisis as its next big comic event series. This will take place in the wake of Justice League 75, which is the death of the Justice League. This summer we'll spin into Dark Crisis and see where the status quo is at the end of that. So they have said that it is not a license for them to reboot a la Rebirth or New 52. So don't look for like sweeping changes throughout their lineup, but could see a little bit of a reset with some things. You know, again, I would love to see a reset of Batman with Alfred maybe coming back, or, you know, Bruce finding his wallet again. You know, maybe
between the seat cushions.
Yeah, maybe Superman figures out how to get his powers back, you know, and all that good stuff. So we'll see what happens, but
we'll talk more about that in checkout.
Yeah,
I have my own
checkout and
it.
as it comes through. Yeah.
Like I said, what I'm saying today, I have my own thoughts on that idea too, on everything that's going on. But I think it's more of an old man get off my lawn take. But hey, that's me.
Well, that's both of us. So.
I know. I think you're rubbing off on me, John.
I don't know if that's good, but
no. Hey, we must evolve.
Exactly.
All right. Next up.
All right. Russell Crowe has joined the cast of Sony's Kraven the Hunter movie in an unknown role. Yeah, I like it too. This will be his second role in the quote unquote MCU because he is playing Zeus in Thor: Love and Thunder. So I don't imagine he's actually playing the title role of Kraven because then there'll be no way to cross over that character with the MCU. Because of him playing another role. So I'd imagine it's probably a smaller part in this, but yeah, once again, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yep. I like him. He's good.
I do too. And then speaking of guys I like, Ray Stevenson has joined the cast of the Ahsoka series on Disney Plus in an unknown villain role, but not Grand Admiral Thrawn. So some kind of Imperial officer, I would imagine, but not Thrawn. But yeah, again, the show just looks like it's getting better and better with all of this casting news. So
yeah,
looking forward to that.
What do I know? I don't know that name off the top of my head.
He played the Punisher in one of the Punisher movies. He played on Rome. He played in Red Notice, I believe. He's been in a million things.
The image I have here, he's older, gray He doesn't look like the Punisher.
But yeah, that was Punisher.
And I've seen both Punishers.
Yeah.
Both versions, anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, I've liked him since he was in Rome on HBO back then. And everything he's been in has been great. So this should be no exception.
Yeah. Cool.
And then last but not least, Black Adam writer, and I'm sure I'll get this right, Adam Stickle. Stickle. Has been tapped to write a Wonder Twins live action movie for HBO Max. And this news just dropped yesterday, and I was like, talk about from completely out of left field. Like, I don't know who was looking for this or waiting for this. And I think Garmin said it on his show today. This could like be really, really dumb or genius. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and nowhere in the middle, probably. Marvel's got a great track record of taking completely unknown and offbeat characters and doing great things with them.
Marvel have that? Marvel does.
No, Marvel doesn't. But what I'm saying is Marvel has done that with, a lot of characters. James Gunn has done it with both companies, and he's doing it now with like Peacemaker and Suicide Squad. So if it's treated right, like these throwaway characters, this could be like a great show. I would love to see a dark show a la Peacemaker, like with the Wonder Twins. You know what I mean? But
that'd be hysterical.
Instead of Eagly, you got Gleek, the monkey, and Zan has just got like a pot belly. His shirt doesn't even cover it, and he's got like a drinking habit, and
you're going real dark.
Beard. Yeah, like I think it would be awesome though. So we'll see. Would you like to touch my monkey?
Oh God. It's the Wonder Twins, not Brightside Chat.
Yeah.
I think you want to be Zan.
Yes. I am Zan. Yes, I'm channeling my inner Zan.
What does that mean? What's that mean for me?
Yeah. I don't know, Jaina. What does it mean
for you? Form of?
Shape of?
Yeah.
An icicle.
No, that'd be you.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, it's you. Yeah, I get to be an eagle. Or
eagly.
Eagly.
A macaque.
Yeah.
Shape of a macaque.
Touch my macaque.
Yeah. All right.
We did like
almost
the comic,
Brightside
though.
After Dark.
Yeah.
Almost Brightside After Dark.
I'm trying to get us back.
I know.
We did like the comic, though. The Wonder Twins at the beginning.
I did. Yes, it was fun.
It was fun. And
it was fun.
They could have fun with it. The problem is if they don't allow other characters in there, like if it's just the Wonder Twins, and then because some of the fun stuff in that book when it came out was like the funny things that like Batman would say or Superman, and it's like you had stuff that you don't get in their normal books that they would say to the Wonder Twins and everything, and it was it was a lot lighter of a book. So hopefully the show could do the same thing. The movie, I should say, the Wonder Twins movie, they do the same thing. I could see that happening, but you're right. It could either be a disaster or it could be great. And I'll watch. And where it's only a movie,
I'm going to watch it. Yeah.
That's all you got. That's all they need you to do is click it once.
Right.
It's like click on it once and go, yay or nay, you don't make another one.
That's it.
Be fun to see casting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. As we get closer, we'll start. I'm sure we'll hear speculation on who is being thought of for the characters, and that'd be fun. So, all right. That's it for breaking news. Are you ready to get to? Some checkout?
Sure.
All right, John. What did we spend our money on this week?
All right. The first book we're going to take a look at is from Dynamite Comics. It was Draculina, issue number 1. It's written by Christopher Priest, had art by Michael St. Maria, cover art by Colette Turner. So Draculina, this is another book that spins out of the Vampirella universe. Draculina is similar to Vampirella in the sense that she is a vampire from the planet Draculon, living here on Earth. This is the same writing team and artist team that are doing Vampirella. So if you're reading that book, this should all be very familiar. The one thing I found is that I am not reading Vampirella right now, and there were a few references in the book going back to that series. But it didn't hinder like my ability to understand this book or what was going on. But you do kind of feel like there's information that you would know if you were reading the other series. This was kind of just what you would expect it to be. If you've read any of the other Dynamite books. The only thing I thought was a bit of a twist with this was the fact that Draculina is linked to another person. And like each one of them only exists when the other one is asleep. And of course, neither one of them are happy with this arrangement. And Draculina especially is trying to sever that relationship. So there was a couple of scenes in here that I thought were pretty funny where, she was basically trying to put herself into dangerous situations and then go to sleep so that the other person would wake up and like find herself like flying out of the windshield of a car and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty good. But overall, this was just okay. I thought the art was good, and it was just very status quo for like the Dynamite and Vampirella universe. I don't think did anything like it didn't break any new ground or anything. But it was enjoyable. Like I don't know that I'm on it for like I don't know that I'm going to stick with it necessarily, but I enjoyed it. Overall, the last couple of weeks, this is one of the better books that we've talked about. So
it was a fun ride. It was really was, and by the end of it, I was interested in picking up the next book because of that whole idea of like you have a host body type thing, and you can only exist at once, kind of a dual personality type thing going on. And that was different than Vampirella, a different take.
Right.
So, but it is kind of the same thing. I haven't read Vampirella in a little while, in months.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same storyline. But if you have zero information, everything you need is at the beginning.
Everything
of the
you
book.
Need is there. Yeah, it's all there. Again, it takes you a little bit in the beginning of you're a little confused in the beginning of the book till you kind of get the revelation that they're swapping places, because you kind of start out with the girl and she's waking up in bed next to a dead body, and you're kind of like, well, why wouldn't she know this already? Because she was there. But then you realize why she wouldn't know that. But yeah, and I guess she calls them Gomers or something. And so she's like, I'm always waking up next to these dead Gomers and stuff.
Right.
Like it was kind of funny. It was. It was different. But we'll see. Like I said, I might give it at least one more issue. But it definitely, like I said, was fun and not a bad read at all. So.
Well, the way I look at it is it's kind of what comics are supposed to be. They're fun. They don't all have to be this way, but it was fun. And by the time you're done with it, you weren't like, huh, what are they trying to say? It was just a fun ride. And
the only thing
like you said,
the
art was good, and it was, I just really enjoyed it.
But like whether I go on or not with this is kind of like your description of Wheel of Time. Like there's just so much bandwidth, and there's so much good stuff that I don't know if I have room for this that was just okay. Right. You know what I mean? So that we'll see.
And in all the years we've been doing this, John, we've never come up with a scoring system or anything.
No.
But if we did, haven't. With our experience right now, it's like, if we did, it would be like, what is book 2? Must read. If I see it, I might read it, or I'll avoid it. It's something like, you know what I mean? And this is one where, for me, it's not a must read the second one, but
if you see it,
if I see it, I'll be like, oh yeah. Because a lot of our books, you'll be like, yeah, I want to read that. I want to read 2. And then weeks later, you'll be like, all right, I read 2, because you get them all. So you see every single one. Whereas the normal reader, like myself, unless it's presented to you, you're not like, how do you know weeks later? Because especially for you and I, where we read like every week, all this different stuff. Weeks later, I'll be like, I'll have forgotten about a Draculina book, and then it needs to be brought to my attention again. So it's the rare book that makes you just like, all right, I've got to put this in my notes, or pre-buy it again, or go whatever you do at your store. Like, when I get to the store, that's what I used to do at Friendly Neighborhood, is I'd put it in my notes. Don't forget to ask for this. I want that book. So yeah, but that's a rare book that makes you want to go. Like, I mean,
honestly, there's a ton of books that I say I do want to read the second issue, and I end up still not getting to ever reading it again.
Exactly.
Because I just don't think about it. Or, like I said, sales weren't good enough on the first one, so I didn't bring in the second one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So even if I liked it, if I didn't order number 2, then it just goes away because I don't think about it ever again.
Right.
You know? So that happens a lot, because there's a lot of books that are really good, but just don't sell.
Right.
And so I as a business owner, I don't keep ordering them, and so they just fall away because they're not coming in to remind me to read them, and I forget, you know. So
yep. It's a tough life, John.
It is.
But we make it work.
Well, so far. We'll see.
All right. What do we got next? Oh boy.
Next up from Marvel is Secret X-Men #1. This was written by Tini Howard, had art by Francesco Mobili, cover art Lionel Francis Yu. So this actually was just a one-shot, which I didn't realize when I chose it last week, although I probably still would have chose it because there just weren't a lot of options for #1 issues to read. But so this isn't necessarily going anywhere. This was not great. This was like an X-Men team made up of all the X-Men that you don't really care about.
That's what
a couple of them were, New Mutants. You had Sunspot and Cannonball, and they're okay.
Yeah.
Banshee I've heard about, but like I've never heard of Marrow and Tempo and some of these guys. But essentially they're
secret X-Men.
Yeah, and they're
don't know about
secret
them
because they're tricked into a mission that they think is real, and then they find out, not to spoil it, but nobody cares. That it was just a training mission at the end of the day, but they're not allowed to remember what happened, so their memories are erased, and that's why they're called the Secret X-Men. It just wasn't good, really. So I don't know what they were trying to set up with this, because it is not an ongoing series, and I don't know what they're trying to tie this into. I don't know why this exists, and you know what I mean? Like this, I just don't. I can't see the reason for it.
You can't have more raving review than that. I don't know why this exists.
Well, I can't see the reason like why this was even ordered. Like who?
I think that's one of our 5-star reviews for our podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know why this
exists. That's the fourth tier of I'll see it if I'll read it if I see it. Tier number 4, I don't know why this exists. But like all of these things are pitched in a meeting at some point before they happen, and it's like I don't know why this was greenlit. Like I don't know what they're trying to accomplish.
Oh my God, we are so of like mind after doing this. I'm like reading this, and I'm like you said, like it's pitched, and you're like, what were they thinking? Like I was thinking this reading the book, and I'll be honest with you, like after like halfway through this, I stopped reading. I read like the first bubble on a page, and I read the last bubble. If there were any bubbles in the middle, I skipped them, and I honestly don't think I missed anything because I got the gist. And I was like, what the hell is like all of these I'm like you said, they're sitting in a meeting, and like, you know what? We got to do a book about a bunch of people nobody's ever heard of, because everybody's getting tired of, the good characters.
Right.
And they're so out of idea.
So let's do a book with all the bad characters.
Right. And we don't have any bad ones. Make some up. You know. like what do you they're so out of ideas for the main characters that they're just like, let's make up some new stuff. We're going through that with Batman. And
well, we are,
and like, that's what I said I wanted to get to.
3 new X books coming out on the order form that I just finished ordering. It's like, how many X books do we need? Like, you know what I mean?
I'm done with X.
Like,
this had white pages in it again, and
they still do. They've never gone away from them. Like ever since.
I know.
That's like the new status quo in the X-Men books. Even though Hickman's not writing them anymore, they all still have them. And I don't even read. I just skip right over them.
Me
and
too.
I never feel like I've missed anything in those books. Like, I haven't read a white page in a year.
Do you know people? Are there people that like the white pages? Are there people going like the last page on this? It was like fill in the blanks. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like reading the phone book, John. That's what it is. It's like it's not like the phone book. It is. It's like Adam Smith 555.
Yeah. But like I said, I don't know. Like, I just don't know how many X books do we need? How many Bat books do we need? You know, it's getting kind of ridiculous at this point.
But see, at least with the Bat books, like reading Joker, what they're doing is they're taking that's a good story. I'm enjoying that story. They didn't make up new characters. They just took existing characters and gave you a compelling story with those characters. With inside Batman's universe, they're taking the main characters, they're stripping them of everything that we know and love, and then they're introducing new characters. And it's, I mean, am I talking Batman? Am I talking Superman? Am I talking, like, what is it?
Right. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's just seems to be the formula, and they've run I don't know. Are they doing this on purpose? Like, is there a big, have they plotted this out years in advance?
Well, I don't know. We have
Dark
Crisis, so I don't know what they're doing there, but
at some point there has to be a reset we get back to basic Batman.
There will be, because we've done it with New 52, we did it with Rebirth. Like, at a certain point they'll pull the plug and reset again, because people get tired of what's happening. That's why New 52 reset to Rebirth, because everybody was tired of all these changes they made. Nobody wanted Superman running around with jeans and a black t-shirt with an S on it. It's like we're tired of that now, and we want Superman back. And so they do Rebirth, and now we're doing whatever we're doing, and eventually we'll all get tired of that too. So I'm already tired of it, but
yeah, and that's why I said earlier, this is like old man get off my lawn. Like, I just want my old characters back. I just want those old stories. Not the exact same story, but I guess that's what makes it hard to do. These 80, 90 years here, and it's hard to have an original story, but you could still tell a new, compelling story with...
Right, but these characters have endured for so long for a reason. And when you go away from those reasons, it starts to, break down a little bit.
Yeah, interest wanes. And it's like... Yeah. And when it wanes, especially with characters like this that everybody's so passionate about, it doesn't just fade off into like obscurity. It creates anger, which is good. You want that anger, because if they're not angry, you don't hear anything. All you get is right. And that's when you're really screwed, because then it's like, all right, well, now there's nobody to give some good content to. So they got to write this shit before people start to go away completely. And then there's nobody around to tell. We've got some new Batman. Yeah, I'm done. I was done months ago, so hopefully that happens soon. So.
I hope so, because I would say vote with your wallets, but as a comic book store owner, I need you to buy comics.
Right.
So I can't really say vote with your wallet, because again, I would do that. Like, if I was a customer, I would just not buy these books because they're not good. And and that happens. Like, I get people dropping, like, Batman is no longer my #1 selling book. I sell more copies of Thor every month than I do Batman.
Really?
And and that's crazy, because for the first several years I was open, Batman outsold everything.
Yeah.
In some cases it outsold like 3 and 4 and 5 titles put together, and
I think now, they peaked at the...
Now I'm currently selling, and honestly, I'm selling more Thor right now than I'm selling Batman or Spider-Man. And that's, a testament to Donny Cates and how popular his Thor run is. But it's also like, hey, what's going on here? Because Thor is outselling Batman and Spider-Man, and that's not ever happened.
Right.
So.
Well, I think like in the case of Batman, I think they peaked at the Tom King, Tynion transition. That was pretty much the peak. People were holding on for, that. And then we've been on a downhill since then. And I think with Spider-Man, it's just that story. That was the Amazing Spider-Man anyways, was really good.
But this
for
current story
20?
with Ben Reilly, and my sales are dropping by the issue.
Right.
The fact that it's weekly, again, is super predatory. And then it's just not even a good story on top of that. Now, again, if you look at the fact that Thor only comes out once a month and Spider-Man comes out 4 times, then Spider-Man is definitely outselling Thor. But on an individual issue by issue basis, I sell more copies of Thor than anything. The fact that Spider-Man, like I said, comes out 4 times a month, it outsells everything, but it shouldn't.
So Nightwing drops this week. How's that one sell?
Nightwing's middle of the road for me. Again, I can't speak for every store, but for me, it's mid tier. Like it's in the top 10 maybe, but it's not in the top 5.
Okay. So. All right. Speaking of some reboots, what do we got coming up next week here? First one.
Ghost Rider #1.
Is this a one-off, another one-off story, or is this Ghost Rider starting back up?
This is a new ongoing series.
Okay.
Robbie Reyes, I believe, will be Ghost Rider in this. But I imagine we'll see we'll see Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch and all the other Ghost Riders too. I'm sure, but yeah, I like Ghost Rider, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then this next one is from, I guess Aftershock Comics is jumping into the Black Label book scene as well, because this is a Black Label sized book from Aftershock.
Yeah, it's an oversized book.
The Lion and the Eagle, issue #1.
Dr. Joe is not going to be happy.
Nope, he is not. Because it will not fit in your regular bag and board.
Nope. This looks interesting, though.
It does. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. It's a war, I guess, a World War II story.
Okay.
At least on the surface, I haven't read it, so it could be something like Aerosmith, where you open it up and it's all about dragons. But
yeah,
we'll see. I'm not sure.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
What else did you read this week?
I read Devil's Reign #4.
Yes.
Which is still great. Actually,
really good.
I'm really enjoying that series.
Read that myself. I like the end of it. I didn't see that coming.
No.
I can't say that. I'm sorry. I didn't see it coming at the beginning of this issue. This is something I think we all thought was coming even before this series started. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to give anything away for anybody that hasn't read it or isn't keeping up on it. But it is, in the last Daredevil series, you were like, okay, maybe this is something, this should be happening. But then when you turn the page at the end of this book, you're like, it's like, it's pretty cool when something like that happens. Like I said, like I didn't see it coming on that page, but when you think back, you're like, ooh, we've been waiting for this. So it could get really, really interesting, ramp up in book 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then I took the advice of one Mr. Stephen King, and I read Mouse, which I had never read before. This is thick, by the way. This is like 300 pages. It's pretty big.
You read the whole thing already?
Read the whole thing. It's riveting,
Really?
Again, having read this book, I cannot point to a single reason why this should not be part of any kind of curriculum or school organization or what have you. It's a bit racist, but you're talking about Nazi Germany and an event that was inherently racist,
Right.
But, there are some stereotypes. Like, so see, the author of this book is the son of the main character who survived the Holocaust. Both him and his mother both survived together. And so the father is like the typical. I don't want to. I'm not trying to be racist, but like the typical stingy old Jew. You know what I mean? Like he's that character. So there is some like stereotype characters, but like he's a real person. So
right.
I mean, it's not a stereotype if that's what the guy was. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like you get to reading the book, and I'm not going to like expound on like the horrors of the Holocaust. Like we all know this by now, but like it is devastating. Like it was so just such a downer. Like it was so like
that's what you heard it here first, everybody. World War II, such a downer.
I'm trying to search for the word, and it's just not coming to me. But it's like
I know.
I didn't live through this, and I don't really at this point know anybody that did. But it's just unbelievable the hatred and the things that went on. But you look at like that stereotype, let's say, of this guy that won't spend a penny and like won't throw anything away and like is constantly being like yelled at by his son because he won't spend the money to fix this or do all these things. But then you go back and you think about like what he went through all those years where like you were trading gold watches just to get a loaf of bread, and you were getting like a piece of paper was something you had to trade a week's worth of rations to get a piece of paper, so you could use it to go to the toilet. And so then you fast forward, and his son's yelling at him because he won't throw away half a box of cereal or whatever. And if you think about like what this guy has been ingrained to think about all these possessions and the value of half a box of cereal or whatever, and that's something that you and I will never understand. Like I'll throw away half a loaf of bread or a half a box of cereal just because I don't want to look at it in my cabinet anymore. There'd be nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? But this guy won't do that. And his son, who actually treats him pretty, like his son is kind of a jerk, and treats him very badly. Although I guess I admire the fact that he portrayed himself that way. So must have at the end realized that he treated his father very badly, because he didn't gloss over any of that. Like it was all there in this book, and it's told, like I said, with animals. The Jews are mice, the Germans are cats, the U.S. soldiers are dogs, the Frenchmen are frogs. Like again, little bit of stereo
on the nose.
Yeah, a little bit of stuff, but I mean
you had me at like everything from even like the Americans are dogs, whatever. Right. But like, all right, it's all fun and games. Then you went the Frenchman a frog. Like, oh my God. Yeah. But honestly, if they had if they had made them anybody else, you'd be like, really? Are you just avoiding the frog for a reason? That's funny.
So it's told through this lens of these animals, but it's the horrors of this were like, again,
the
things
story
I didn't
is
even
still there.
Yeah, that I didn't think of, that I would never have known. We know the broad strokes of what happened, but like you don't know what these people went through on a daily basis. And it was really, like I said, it was a pretty tough read. The art is very rudimentary. Like it's not a book that you're paying attention to for the art. He's not the best artist in the world, but the story is pretty compelling. So honestly, I think it's something everybody should read once. I'll never read it again because it's way too depressing. But there's a reason why it won the Pulitzer Prize, and it just boggles my mind that like this is something that we wouldn't want people to be aware of, So,
well, like crazy. We said last week, it's when you talk about something that you don't want people to know about, you're actually bringing awareness to it. Right. So,
well, again, it made me read it. I probably never would have picked this book up in my lifetime.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, I knew of it. I had heard, obviously I had heard about it. I knew it had won the awards and all that, but I never would have picked this book up on my own.
Right.
I read it because they banned it, Well, Stephen King told me to.
Right. So. But the thing I said last week is, I'm not familiar with the entire story of it was a school that wanted it banned.
It was a school that wanted it banned, and apparently they only banned it from their curriculum and not necessarily from their library.
Right.
So it wasn't even that they
what age was it that they were teaching it? That's the thing.
That I don't know.
If you're banning it from an elementary school, for instance, I could say like, it sounds as a headline, it sounds like, oh, they're banning a book.
Probably more adult than that.
Yeah.
But if you're talking junior to high school level,
right.
Then
yeah, you have, it definitely should be available. And that's the thing, when they banned this book, it wasn't a ban on the book in general. It was from the school's curriculum. And I didn't read any further of, what age limit it was being taught at.
I didn't either.
If it's in a curriculum, that means it's being taught, not just in the school library. So, but yeah, to your point of the, I wanted to comment on the stereotype. Like you said, it's like everything you were describing was my grandmother about being quote unquote cheap, but my grandmother was as Catholic can be.
Well, and mine too. And they were Italian. Yeah. It's also a product of when you grew up, because people didn't have as much as they do now.
Right. My grandmother grew up in Canada, in Nova Scotia, Canada, in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I would have been able to say, like, she would have been the stereotypical person that grew up during the Depression, right?
Right.
And you conserved like, you didn't know where your next meal was coming from. You didn't throw out your bread. You scraped the mold off of it.
Exactly.
And, or it's like, oh, just don't eat that part. That's how.
Or you make a pudding, or you make a bread pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
But you do something with it.
I'm not familiar with how the Depression hit Canada, but, she had that mentality. My grandfather had that mentality. We grew up a product of excess. We grew up in the 70s, not so much excess in the 70s, but that, with the oil crisis, blah, 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 we ended up basically with kind of our own version of the roaring 80s, where everything was excess. And then we got slapped with AIDS. That was our big thing. It was like, whoa, put the brakes on. People were having too good of a time before we learned how to have a good time.
Exactly.
It's like,
I missed it again.
Yeah, exactly. We missed it by that much. Yeah. But yeah, so we grew up a product of excess, and we're still, but there's a reset. I think what we're in right now that's the recess is coming. The reset is coming. But that's why I think, like, when you say like these stereotypes, it's exactly right. You're a product of your upbringing and the stuff that, like, look at what the Jews have gone through and taught. It's like generation after generation is just like, we have this, they have the Holocaust. They've been suppressed so long that you're like, okay, you never know when the next one's coming. So I don't know. It's like, but like I said, my grandmother, super, super Catholic, and she acts the exact same way because of her upbringing. So,
right.
But yeah, I'll check that out. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Like I said, it's definitely worth it. Like I said, it's not a pick me up in any way, but it's definitely, I think, an important story to read, so.
All right. Did that give you opportunity to read anything else?
No, that was pretty much, I read most of my weeklies. I kind of read those first, and then I jumped into this. But yeah, no, this took me several nights. It was pretty long.
Yeah. Did you have you read Joker number 12?
Yes.
Okay. And like I said earlier, that one there, I like where that story's going.
Yes, I do too.
Very nice surprise ending at that. And there's even a line in there, this isn't a Joker story.
Right.
And you're like, I know.
Yeah, right.
I've been saying
that
for 11 and a half issues.
Yeah.
How about Scorched or The Scorched?
I did. Yep.
Really good.
Still enjoying that.
Yep. Really enjoying that. I caught up with Daredevil Woman Without Fear, number 2.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. That was good. And that should just about do it for myself. Of course, I'm still plugging away on Saga. I took pretty much, like, I brought my iPad with me for the weekend, but I didn't do a lot of reading.
Didn't read it. Yeah.
Vegged. I did a little bit, but not as much as I had planned on. I thought I was going to be able to bang that out, but instead we just, with the 6 of us, hung out and chatted. So had a good time.
Well, that's what you go for. You don't go to sit in your corner and read.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So, but all right. You ready to get to checkout?
Real World.
Real World, check out. Oh, I read the wrong graphic. Yeah, you are 100% correct. See, without you producing the show, we'd be screwed.
Show saver.
Yeah, there you go. As long as we're recording, we're good. All right, let's get to John. You ready to get to Real World?
I am.
All righty then.
All right. So we're going to start this section off the way we do every week with a little bit of Tom Brady. I watched The Tuck Rule on ESPN.
Oh,
this
boy.
This was a 1 hour show with Tom Brady and Charles Woodson.
Is this geared towards the New England fan or the Oakland fan?
Oh, no. It's very... Well, I guess it depends on who you're listening to, because it's Tom and Charles sitting on a couch watching the show and arguing about the play and the call. And there was a little bit of Man in the Arena flashback because we did kind of relive the season again. But this was just a lot of them that, obviously they were friends before that happened. They went to school together in Michigan. But how their lives changed by this event. And all of that from Charles Woodson's, I don't know, 70,000 square foot house on the water, and don't cry for me, Charles, about how your career changed because of the Tuck Rule, because you seem to do all right for yourself. But it was pretty enjoyable. Like I said, it's just 1 hour, one episode. It was like the 30 for 30 ESPN does. And, and this one actually had Bill in here too, which Bill didn't really appear at all in Man in the Arena. Belichick, but he sat down a couple times in this, and of course John Gruden was there, and then the guy, whoever the owner of the Raiders was there, and Rob Kraft was there, and you get to see his office, and in his office he's got the giant portrait of that play on his wall, because it started the whole dynasty for him. So it was fun,
So it was fun, but did Ron Woodson and Gruden, did they admit that that's what the rule was at the time? And it was, because a lot of people that aren't from, like, we're very familiar with it because it's New England, but but a lot of people still to this day have no idea that was a rule that had been in place for years.
Right.
Actually worked against the Patriots, I think, twice earlier in that exact season.
Yeah, and that came up.
But a lot of people think it was invented, and then that was the only time it was ever used because they took the rule out, 6 years later or something?
Right.
Not even right away.
It was not so much that they didn't acknowledge that the rule had existed and been in place. It was the interpretation of the play and the rule being applied.
Oh, of course.
Like Woodson still, of course, believes to this day that Brady was tucking the ball back, and
he was.
It was not a forward pass.
He was.
And whether it was the right call or the wrong call. But what I thought was great about the whole thing was the referee who made the call was on there again defending himself to this day, but made the comment that he never officiated another Raiders game again for the rest of his career. And I was not aware that teams had the ability to choose the officials that officiated their games.
I don't know if that's the case.
Why wouldn't you always pick the guys that,
I don't think you can choose, but I think you can refuse.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like kind of like picking a jury. Here, give us the 4 refs you never want to see again. Okay.
Right.
So you won't see
them. And they never saw him again.
Exactly. But, it's probably better for his safety.
But on the flip side, he did a whole bunch of New England games, and they all loved him. Mm-hmm. So, because there was like different scenes with Bill and him on the sidelines before the game, just yucking it up and having a grand old time. So...
no, that's a call that could have gone either way.
It could have gone either way.
Both sides would have a beef either way. Right. So, like, I completely understand Oakland being upset, but that is the rule, right?
Right.
If they hadn't called it, I think New England would be like, the Tuck Rule, why didn't it? Because it had happened to New England fans earlier in the season. Like, then they would have argued, well, he was just tucking it in. I know. That's why it's the tuck rule. The idea of the rule was to take it out of the interpretation of the ref. That way, if your arm's coming down, whether you're coming down to tuck it in or you're coming down with a throw, either way, it's out of the ref's hands. And it just happened to be, if the Patriots don't win the Super Bowl, we never hear about this again. Never mind if they called it the other way. If the Patriots hadn't gone on and won the Super Bowl, we probably never hear of it again. They don't go on to the dynasty. We never hear, even if they won that Super Bowl and then just disappeared, we don't hear about it again. It's kind of just become this fun, everybody thinks that's the, precipice. But you forget, like, they still had to tie the game up from there.
They still that wasn't the
kick in the
that
overtime.
Wasn't the end of the game. Right. That wasn't the end of the game. They still had work to do. And it was funny because, again, Tom said multiple times just what I had said like last week on the show. Like, if that call goes the other way, he probably doesn't have his career, because
really?
There's a good chance that they bring Drew back as the number one starter the next year and Tom Brady is Jimmy Garoppolo for the rest of his life. You know what I mean? And
I think he would have.
He might have found a way, but it wouldn't have been in New England, I don't think.
I don't know. He had a pretty good year leading up to that.
He did.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that Bill had already decided on him, I don't think Bill is making a decision on a tuck rule, regardless.
Right.
You know what I mean? The following year.
Again, it could have still happened, but there's also the chance that the next 20 years don't play out the way,
Well, yes, that's true. But I think he would have been the starter the following year. I think that was already cemented. The fact that you're starting Brady in that game, and then regardless of what happens in that snow game, which was hell for any quarterback, you're not saying, all right, we'll give Drew the start next year because Brady blew the playoff game that I gave him a start where quarterbacks shouldn't be doing well anyways.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think it changed that, but you're right. Who knows what it does to everybody's confidence? Right. And I mean, but yeah,
you just never know.
But we do know, hindsight, they went on.
Yeah. So,
and
that's 3 weeks in a row we get to talk about Tom Brady after we said we would never do it again. But anyways, after that, we caught up on Pam and Tommy. So we watched the next 3 episodes.
Did you get to that part?
I did get to that part.
What the hell? That was, you take that out and the show, I think the show is getting really good. The current episode, you see everything that's, I'm like, I'm kind of interested. Like, does Seth Rogen survive?
Even I don't know. That was fine. I mean, it was just a bit,
it was weird though,
it was weird. It was weird.
But doesn't it, like, even in hindsight now, you're all caught up on the entire thing. It doesn't really fit. Everything else felt more factual, documentary, like a reenactment.
Well, right, but
then
here's
you
the
get
thing.
to that one part, and it's like,
this is like a dramatization of a scene with, like, I can definitely picture Tommy Lee standing in front of that mirror having a conversation with his junk. You know what I mean?
Who amongst us hasn't?
Exactly. So this is just like the,
right, buddy?
In my mind's eye,
your mind's eye
of what that might be, but it was weird. Like, so, I definitely did not see that coming. Like, I was like, okay, I get it.
Seeing that, right? I was like looking away. When they, like you said, the prosthetics and everything. So I went to the area where the prosthetics would be attached, and I'm looking, and I'm like, obviously they covered it up with shrubbery.
Right.
But Jen, I did not look very closely, but Jen's like, it's moving like a mouth.
Oh, I watched it.
I didn't. I was like, I'll take your word for it.
I'm not embarrassed. I've watched enough adult video that I don't shy away from anything at this point. So I watched every bit of it, and it was like, when it was like talking like a mouth, I was like, okay, that's
what I mean.
Taking it.
I didn't notice that. Jen's the one that pointed that out to me. I'm like,
yeah,
that's an odd artistic choice right there.
but also made perfect sense in the scene that it was in. in the context that the scene was taking place,
right,
it made sense, right?
I mean,
if there's a voice coming out of it, then something has to be speaking. So, you know,
exactly. But yeah, I mean, I get the idea of it. I mean, we all think with that.
Right.
That's where our brains are, but
might as well have a conversation.
Having a conversation with your brain, might as well, right? But I just felt like, I guess it was a comical way to portray it, but in the scope of the show, I felt like everything about it was, it had its lighter moments, but it's pretty dark show.
Yeah.
And I mean, it
is very dark.
It does not portray Tommy Lee very well.
Well, here's the thing.
In a very good light, I should say.
I think they're both garbage people, like Pam and Tommy, both. But you also feel really bad for them. Like by the time that all that tape was breaking and all that stuff was getting out there, like I legit felt, maybe not as much for him, but I did for her. He
caused it, and I mean, I would even...
You can't say he caused it. I mean, they were both... Well, he caused it in the sense that the guy stole the safe because of what he did.
Because of the way he treated people.
But I mean, they both consented to making that video.
Oh, no. Like I have no issue with them making the video. I have no issue with them putting it in a safe. I have no issue. Right. I mean, clearly they made a video that they did not want to get... Now, of course, this is the story. There's also, to be fair, there's also the other side of this story where it's just as plausible that this is all a farce and they put it out themselves, because this was at a time when their careers were going south. But,
well, she was on the rise. She was on Baywatch. She was getting movie roles. He was done. Like Motley Crue was, yeah, but still, I mean, she was getting roles.
Right.
He was on the decline. Like Motley Crue was on the VH1 hits, things, and we're kind of on the decline.
They weren't doing well at the time. This was probably the biggest thing in their career, at that time, right? Motley Crue's heyday was over. Hers was probably going to, but anyways, without getting into their history, when this came out, a lot of people thought they did it themselves. And you could see why at the time. And now we're getting this version of the story, and fine, let's go with that version of the story. You look at what Tommy Lee did, and you're like, wow, you treat people that way. What do you expect? Especially when you get to that scene when he's sitting with the private investigator.
Right.
And Tommy Lee's like, I don't know. Yeah. And she's looking at him like, yeah, we know who it is. And the private investigator's like, yeah, we know who it is. And Tommy Lee's like, what? Yeah. It's like, you didn't give him his tools? He's like, but yeah, so I don't feel bad for them at all. I don't, no more than I feel bad for Seth Rogen's character. Yeah. You go down that road, that's what you're going to end up doing.
Yeah, but again, he's broke. He's owed money. Yeah. Like I can see retaliation. I mean, I can too. Definitely see him doing
what's
exactly
coming
what
his
he
way
did,
now, though. What's coming his way now?
Well, yeah, but again, that's a product of him trusting people that he shouldn't be trusting, because he's about to get screwed too.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because that guy, his buddy there is jacking him around. So
yeah,
But anyways, all that being said, it's very entertaining. I don't know how factual it is, but it's entertaining to say the least. And I don't know, I found myself feeling a little bad for her, like strolling through the set of her TV show when they're watching that video, and like absolutely, you got to feel like kind of bad for them.
Oh yeah, I feel bad for her for that way. That's when I say I don't feel bad for them, I should say I don't feel bad for him. I do feel bad for her, because she didn't do anything to deserve this either. I mean,
no, she didn't. She didn't know that they weren't paying. She's not a great person, but she inherently didn't do anything to hurt anybody or be a bad person. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's just not the smartest. She's not the sharpest crayon in the box. You know what I mean? But in the end of the day, she didn't go out of her way to be malicious or hurt anybody.
Right.
And so she really didn't deserve it.
Right.
Him, like I said, on the other hand,
that's what's kind of sad is he did deserve it, but he doesn't get affected. If anything,
exactly.
This actually like upped his notoriety.
Well, like she said, if anything, yeah, you're going to walk down the street and people are going to be high-fiving you, whereas she's going to walk down the street and everybody's going to be judging. So,
right.
You know.
Yeah. I never judged her.
I never did either. I mean, we all do it. I mean, it's not like everybody does it, so it's not like you should feel bad about it.
I know. That's
we just don't all have it broadcast for the whole world to see. But
John, I think if we did that and it was broadcast, no one would want to see.
I'd have to pay them to watch it,
exactly.
not the other way around. So.
All right, what else did you watch?
Now
we're going really dark.
Yeah, we watched In From the Cold.
Okay.
Which is that show on Netflix. You brought it up last week about like the big cliffhanger or the big surprise at the end of the first episode.
I did?
You brought it up last week in the show, yeah. You talked about the giant like twist ending of the first episode.
I don't even remember In From the Cold.
It came up in the show because that's why I watched it. Now, whether somebody talked about it in the mailbag or something, I don't know, but
In From the Cold. That's funny.
Anyway, I watched it. It did have a giant twist ending at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. Okay,
that you did not see coming, even though I knew there was going to be a giant twist ending. I still didn't see this coming, and it completely changed the type of show that this was. It was almost akin to like the vampire movie that I always talk about, Tarantino.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn. Whereas, for half the movie, you don't know it's a vampire movie. Well, this was the kind of same thing. Like, this is a spy thriller all the way up until like the last 5 minutes. And then it's still a spy thriller, but it's got a whole new element mixed in.
All right.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm not going to spoil it. But then, at the end
Martin
of the day,
talked about it in mailbag. That's why we know about it. And it's like, because I'm like, you're like, you talked about it. I was like, I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you brought it up.
Right. Yeah. It was in mailbag. Martin had talked about it on Twitter. So we talked about it. And, but yeah. All right. I'll definitely.
But at the end of the case, it was a decent show. Like it wasn't. Okay. It wasn't great. I kind of feel like it would have been better if they didn't do what they did at the,
really?
Yeah. Like if it was just a straight, like Black Widow type of Russian spy drama, I think it would have been better than what it became, but it still was good. This is another show that could definitely be set up for multiple seasons. And it actually had the same type of twist ending in the very last minute of the last episode too, that you don't see coming.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I don't know. It was pretty decent.
What's it on?
It's on Netflix. And it's like one season, it's 8 episodes. So it wasn't too hard to watch. And then we just started watching Afterlife. This is also on Netflix. This is Ricky Gervais. And it's got 3 seasons of 6 episodes each at 30 minutes. So it's a total of like 9 hours for the whole 3 seasons. I am actually really, really, really liking this show. It's got a definite Ted Lasso vibe for me, where like the setup is not the same at all, but it's just the kind of the heart and the soul of the show reminds me a lot of Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, yeah.
And it's Ricky Gervais, so this is very British. It's got all these actors in it that you don't know their names, but you've seen them in all the British shows. You know, like the ladies in Downton Abbey, and this guy who's like from Doctor Who. Like you've seen all these people, but I don't know who any of them are.
Right. It's like when Ricky Gervais, Vigil.
Yeah. And the premise is that is a guy that his wife passes away from cancer before the show even starts. Like it has already happened when the show begins. And so he's a guy that was kind of like, the great guy, everybody's friend, like every life of the party, and just went completely the other way and just like doesn't want to live anymore. Like doesn't see the good in anything and just is now going to go through his life like my hero, basically saying whatever comes to his mind, whatever he wants, doing whatever he wants, because he doesn't care. Because he's like, if it just gets to the point where I've gone too far, I'll just kill myself and that'll be the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of down, but I don't know. Like I said, it's got that. It's got a lot of humor, and it underneath it all, it's got that heart like Ted Lasso kind of has. Even though he's saying all this, he's still the guy that he always was. Like, he's not that guy.
Yeah.
And, still ends up doing good things for people and whatever. But I definitely think you and Jen would really, really enjoy this show. I'm liking it a lot.
What's the name of it again?
It's called Afterlife.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I know.
And like I said,
that's on Netflix as well.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. And like I said, we're already halfway through the season 2 because it's so quick.
Right.
Like, you just blast right through it. But yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Quick. Yeah, that's it for this week. I mean, again, I watched a lot of sports, Super Bowl, but a lot of soccer.
Yeah.
All the leagues are starting back up again. So I'm watching like 3 or 4 games a week of, football and different things. So starting to take more time. I mean, I did catch. I watched this week's Vox Machina episodes, and of course, I watched Boba Fett, which we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Yep, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But that's really all we watched.
All right. I got a couple. I'll lead off with this. Lead off with the good news. Jen and I started this little-known show. You might have heard of it. From 1999. The Sopranos.
I was just gonna say The Sopranos.
Yeah. We started that the other night. We did 2 episodes back to back for us, John. That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
And can you clarify why season 6 is A and B? When you look at it on HBO Max, it's like it goes all the way up to season 6, and then you get to season 6, and it's season 6A and season 6B. And they looked.
And then is there a season 7?
No. There's only bought 7 seasons.
Right. There's 7 seasons. So I don't know why they're calling it 6A and 6B.
Okay, I didn't know.
When I bought the DVD sets, it was season 6 and season 7.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the answer.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, so we're starting out, and I mean, obviously you hook Jen in with the whole. It opens with the therapy and everything, so you hook her in on that.
I mean, I couldn't tell you what happened in the first episode. Now it's been so long, but I just know that it's a great show.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's they had coffee, John.
Yeah. Probably a lot of sitting around doing nothing really, but
yeah,
it was good.
But yeah, so we started that, and honestly, it was because of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
because they had that commercial in there.
Commercial?
And
Jen's like, "What's
Meadow
this?"
And AJ. Yeah, and I was like, "That's from," and I knew that was from The Sopranos. I'm like, that they're with the music and everything.
Well, the music right away, but that because I had to look at her twice. I was like,
I know
Meadow?
who she was. Yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, it's Meadow, and then of course AJ shows up at the end.
Yeah,
but
and I didn't know their characters' names. I knew she was definitely from The Sopranos. I didn't know he was, but I assumed that it was a Sopranos type thing, and that was
they were brother and sister.
Oh, okay. And that was from what was that for? Silverado commercial.
Yeah,
but
I don't know how that commercial makes me want to buy a Silverado, but
it worked because they just got another one on the Brightside Chat. You can't get much better than that, right?
Right, free publicity.
Yeah. Who said it was free, John?
That's
See what
true.
I did there? Huh? I'm wheeling and dealing behind the scenes.
Well, good. We need it.
Best commercials are the ones where people don't even know it's a commercial.
Right.
All right. Now, sticking with HBO Max, let's go to the bad news. So before we got into, we figured we'd let the women have a show before we got into all of the pregame stuff.
Sex in the City?
No. We watched a movie, and it's not like the women picked this. We're scrolling through what we could watch on HBO Max. This is probably at around 11 on Sunday morning. Before we got into, like I said, all the pregame stuff, and it went all like men checking out all the pregame stuff, right? So we're like, let's watch something together, a movie together. All right. Well, we watched Kimmy.
Did you? I was going to watch it. But I guess I should not. Yeah. I could tell by the way you brought it up that the bad news.
I fell asleep.
Did you?
And then I woke up and I was almost half right in my analysis of the movie. and my buddy Scott, he told me what actually happened, and he goes, but yeah, that thing was really slow. You've seen it all before. It's been Zoe Kravitz is in it, and she's fine. What I saw, but it's just so slow and tedious, and it's just it was awful. And Kimmy is the term Kimmy is
it's Alexa. Yeah.
Alexa, right. Yeah. And that's what they're using. And it's a take on that, but you kind of like I said, I fell asleep because it was so slow, and I figured I'd figured out the ending already, and I was like 85% right. I just missed the direction that they went in because I slept through it, but it was awful. So I don't recommend that one at all. So, other than that, just I'm on the, I'm out of shows now because we finished Reacher, and I'm not caught up yet on Peacemaker. I was going to be, but I didn't have a game last night. My game is actually tonight, and that's what I watch when I come home at 1:00 in the morning while I eat my dinner.
Right.
But so Peacemaker, still enjoying that. And I think that just pretty much gets us to this week's Mandalorian update.
Yeah.
The season finale.
This was definitely more of a Boba Fett episode, but
was it though?
It had a lot of Mandalorian in it, but at least Boba Fett was present. He was present and accounted for.
Yes, he was there, but the season as a whole for Book of Boba Fett, I'd say has to go down as a disappointment.
Yeah.
But the Mandalorian, on the other hand, it's all, and I've had this conversation with many people, and I've said, for people like you and I, John, this was a big disappointment because of Boba Fett and what they did to that character, and I just think they PC'd him too much. And the reason the Mandalorian is so popular is because we had no expectations.
Well, right, because we didn't know what a Mandalorian was.
Right.
We knew what they were, but we didn't know what this show was going to be about until we got it.
And
there was no expectations.
Yeah. And for Boba Fett, though, we thought at the beginning, before the show aired, we thought we were in good hands with Filoni and Favreau.
Yeah.
And they missed it. I think the whole PC culture took over. They would have been, I feel like for people like ourselves, they would have been better served keeping him more of the Boba Fett that we got in the Mandalorian. When he showed up in the Mandalorian and was the badass that he was, helping the Mandalorian, I don't know. I just think they just tried to clean him up so much that even in the final episode, you have Cad Bane going, "You've changed."
Right.
It's just like.
Well, the biggest thing for me is that at the end of the day, I still don't know why Boba Fett wanted to be the daimyo of Mos Espa.
Right.
Like, what did any of that mean to him? Why did he want to be there? They did nothing to establish that at all in the entire show. So you're kind of just like, what does my hero want? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why he is there and doing what he's doing. And it just fell flat because there was no real reason. He's not, he had no ties there. It's not like he grew up there. It wasn't his hometown. They didn't tell some kind of funny story about something that happened. There was just, why? Was it for revenge against Jabba the Hutt? Because at the end of the day, he had no beef with Jabba.
No.
Like, he shouldn't have had any reason to want revenge against him. Or Bib Fortuna, for that matter. They fulfilled their end of the bargain. He delivered Han. They paid him. And then he went out in the barge and got knocked off into the Sarlacc. But that's not anybody's fault but his own. So there's no like revenge story or any reason.
No, I know.
And then the other part that really disappointed me, although I pegged this like 4 episodes ago, the Tusken Raiders just never pay off. Like,
right.
There was no reason for that story to exist because they didn't show up in the last episode and help him out. Like, there was no payoff to any of that story.
Even the idea that they were killed off by the people that he was battling and he didn't know.
Right.
The
it thought it was the gang and it was really the Pikes or whatever.
Right.
He didn't know that, and he never knows it. Like, he never even finds that out. So,
well, he finds out from
ever
Cad
pays
Bane.
off.
That's how Bane tells him at the end in the street.
Right. He does say it.
But to your point, like, let's say that Boba Fett knew that. What if they revealed at that moment when Bane tells him, and he goes, "Yeah, I know. That's why I'm here." Then it would have all come, excuse me, full circle. But they missed on that. Like, he's
well, and
just
even
an
with that, right? Like,
there.
so Cad Bane tells him, "Okay, this is what happened," and then Fennec is the one that goes and gets revenge. Like, she's the one that kills him. So they don't even have a scene where Boba Fett hunts him down and takes revenge for killing the Tusken Raiders.
No,
like, it just never mattered. It never meant anything.
But that's what I mean.
At the end of the day, this was just a bunch of stories that didn't mean anything. Like, and also, like, we could talk spoilers as far as I'm concerned. The post-credit scene with Cad Bane, not Cad Bane, but Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank. Why was he there? Like, Boba Fett has no attachment to him. He's the guy that had his armor. It was like, why am I saving him?
Well,
like,
because he got the villagers to show up.
Yeah,
before he got it.
He didn't get the villagers to show up. Him getting shot got the villagers to show up.
Well,
like, he didn't convince them to show up. It was the fact that Cad Bane killed him, that made them show up. So he didn't really do anything except get shot, So
the whole entire thing was
it just didn't mean anything at all.
I had one person explain to me an actual scenario where the story itself, the idea of the Book of Boba Fett, is just an offshoot. It's a chapter in the Mandalorian story, and that's why.
Well, I believe that's the case too. I think this story
Boba Fett, will
continue to go on.
Yeah.
I think Boba shows up somewhere in Mando season 3. And
but
the story probably continues.
My beef or my issue is what they've done with Boba Fett, and it's. As much as he had a lot of mystique to his lore, it was still there. It's not like we knew nothing about him. It's just that we knew that he was a badass. He was the baddest bounty hunter in the galaxy. He was, ruthless and this and that. And they just annihilated that.
Well, he's like the only guy that ever gave back talk to Vader and survived, right? Like, that's how bad he was. Like, other than the Emperor, nobody got away with talking back to Vader, but he's like, he's no good to me dead, and I can't do this. It's like, he's the only one giving lip to Vader. So, that gives you this idea that, like I said, he's feared and he's that guy.
Right.
And then you get to this show and he's not that guy at all. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it did. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think this show did more harm than good for Boba Fett.
To the character, yeah.
It did a lot to advance the Mandalorian storyline. I like, I like all the stuff they did with him, with Grogu. I loved Grogu putting the Rancor to sleep. I thought it was awesome.
Snuggling up next to him.
The other thing that bothered me too is I was watching this show is like, there's like, I don't know how many minutes of scene where they're all shooting at the battle droids with the shields up, and nothing's getting through, but they keep shooting anyway. And it's like, what do you think is gonna be different if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again? It's like, can you stop already? Like,
Right.
It's not working. Like, I don't know why anybody's not like shooting the ground beneath their feet and maybe like,
right.
Get him to trip or do whatever. But that was kind of like, stop shooting at him. He's like, I'm yelling at Lydia. It's like, stop shooting at him.
Right. It's like, not doing anything.
You're not doing anything.
Other than alerting him to where you are.
Right. I mean, and unlike some people, I saw the Rancor thing coming from a mile away. Like, I heard people saying, I never even thought of that. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I saw that coming. As soon as the battle droid showed up, I was like, he's going to go get the Rancor. And
I didn't know they got that large. Like, building large.
Oh, yeah, they were huge. I mean, that thing was huge.
Yeah. But nice little
and then at the end
King
of the
Kong
day, did more
homage.
than good. Like,
yeah,
very Godzilla. He destroyed Mos Espa.
Yeah. Well, he was King Kong because he climbed up the thing, and they're like, you're just making him angry," which is what they said about King Kong and climbing up the Empire State Building and being at the top, swatting at him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought, I mean, as far as a Mandalorian story, it's great from those last, 3 episodes? Fantastic. Yeah. But stupid computer. But everything leading up to that, like you said, there was no real good tie-in. There was nothing. It just, Boba Fett just
it fell very flat for me. Yeah, it wasn't, at the end of the day, it wasn't the best. But, now we have Obi-Wan. Yeah, now we have Obi-Wan, so we just move on, right? Like, again, not everything can be the best.
And I'll watch Book of Boba Fett season 2. I mean, I imagine
I will definitely watch it if they do it. Yeah,
because the Mandalorian's going to be in it.
Right. Well, and the good news is there won't be any more flashbacks because we've seen them all. So
we hope.
We hope. So maybe we'll get something out of it. But
yeah. Yep. All right. Is that it? Not a super positive show, John.
We had our moments.
I mean, yeah. They can't all be gems, John.
Nope.
Can't all be gems. All right. That'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week. What do we got for shows to talk about next week? We don't have a Boba Fett. Peacemaker.
Peacemaker finale will be next week if you're caught up.
Is the finale tomorrow? It drops on Thursdays, right? So is that the finale is this week? All right. I will definitely, I'll make sure I'm caught up by next week for that. And that's
really it, because there's no Marvel or Star Wars show for the next couple of weeks at least.
Ooh. So all right, I'll get caught up.
I'm sure we'll find something to
catch up on more of The Expanse. I'll have to check out In From the Cold, Afterlife, all that fun stuff.
Check out both of those. Yeah. I don't know if In From the Cold may be a hit, may not, but Afterlife I think you'll both enjoy.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. You can, if you want to be included on Mailbag, you can contact us at brightside_chat, or you can tweet at John directly at my mouth just went funny. At Arkham Comics with an X.
Got it.
There you go. And he will forward all messages on to me, hopefully. Or you just tag us both and we'll chat back.
I was going to say, usually we're both tagged, so.
Yeah, so. But other than that, have a great week, everybody, and have fun.
Take care, everyone.
Hey, Fred.